The 61 million person study found the small I voted buttons on Facebook pages influenced 340,000 more people to vote in the November 2010 elections. James Fowler, professor of political science and medical genetics at UC San Diego, led this unusual study. James, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Why did you do this experiment and how did you do it?
We really wanted to know whether or not all of this hype about online social media was true. Does it affect real-world behavior? And so we collaborated actually directly with Facebook to do an experiment that involved 61 million people.
Across the states. You posted something on Facebook. We're going to pop it up so the viewers can see exactly what you posted. So what did you actually put on the Facebook page?
So we had a message that showed that today is election day. It showed a button that you could click on to say whether or not you voted, and it showed a counter of the number of people who had clicked on the button that day. Then we showed an alternative message that had all that as well, but it also showed faces of your friends who had clicked on the button. And then there was a third group who saw no message at all, so we could compare the behavior of the people who got the message to the people who didn't.
And the people who got, the interesting thing about this, though, is the people who got the message with the faces, that's where you really saw a difference. Tell me about that.
That's right. So the people who saw their friends' faces, we estimate that caused an additional 60,000 people to go to the polls. But even more importantly, their friends were also more likely to vote. So the friends of people who saw the message, that got an additional 280,000 people to the polls.
More so. So just by seeing your friend as opposed to seeing the little vote button actually increased people's motivation.
That's right. It was spreading.
Let's talk about the viral aspect. The important thing isn't just the people who saw this and pushed the buttons that say I voted. The real potential here is the viral aspect of this. Explain that.
Right. So for every one person whose behavior was changed directly, 4 of their friends were changed. And that really points to the power of social networks. We have many friends of friends, and these things can spread and ramp up.
We are seeing a graphic of close friends. So there's a difference. So it's not just every friend. Close friends is seen here in the red dots. What was the connection between the close friends links?
This was really important. We actually did a separate study where we asked people to tell us who their real-world friends were, and then we used Facebook data to try to predict who had real face-to-face relationships. And the average person has 150 friends on Facebook today, but they only have about 10 close friends. And what we found was that all of the effect of spreading through the network was driven by the face-to-face friends, not by all the Facebook friends.
Interesting. That would be interesting politically. Now, one interesting part about this I read was there was no difference among political lines. Did that surprise you?
It did a little bit. What we found was that liberals and conservatives were both equally affected by seeing the message.
When we first ran the story we did a couple days ago on our website when your study came out, there was concern about privacy. In fact, we had one person who posted this. He said, it's a concern that the study authors could track each person who clicked the I voted button and link them to voter records, which includes names, birth dates, addresses, and party affiliation, to check if they actually voted, which was your method. How were these Facebook people identified? Was it that way? And how do you respond to privacy issues?
It wasn't exactly that way. And in fact, Facebook had exactly the same concern as the person who wrote this comment. And when we said we wanted to look at real-world behavior, they said that's fine, but we don't want to know who voted. We don't want to know who registered. So we actually used this procedure that matches groups of people in the voter record to groups of people on Facebook to preserve privacy.
So there was a privacy protection in line. And it's fair to say that voter records are public records. Anybody can find those online.
That's right. Researchers use them all the time.
Okay. How is since you've done the study, the effectiveness of social media, do you think because after doing this study, do you think it really will have an impact on the November presidential election? Certainly the candidates think so.
I'm sure it's going to change some strategy, because one of the key messages here is that if you're testing your message by seeing how people directly react to it, you're missing the whole story. The network is key. It's really those 4 friends who react that really drive the impact of anything that you're trying to do to get your supporters to the polls.
So you actually have to still have this sort of shaking hands, kissing babies, but on Facebook somehow.
That's right. It's the real-world social network that matters. That's the real fundamental message of this research.
All right. Last question here. We're running out of time. What are you going to be looking at next with this social media research? We're
really interested in 2 key questions. One is what kinds of messages are most effective, but also what kinds of people are most effective. Maybe there's some people you can get a 10-for-1 ratio or a 20-for-1 ratio, and I think those people are going to be really critical in the future campaigns.
So sort of a social science, political science research project that I'm sure many politicians will be following.
Thank you.
I hope so. All right, James Fowler, thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you.